I'm Sean.
And I'm Adam.
And this is SasqWatch.
Today we're going to be talking about Devil on the Mountain, also known as Sasquatch Mountain.
So I want to start out by addressing that we are actually not covering the movie we said we were going to be covering. I did order a copy of Bigfoot, and it came to the house, but I don't know where it went. I don't know if that's on me or on Adam's cat, but I cannot find this copy. But in a pinch, I looked to Amazon Prime, and I found that we could watch Sasquatch Mountain from 2006 for free with IMDb
With
TV ads. So we watched it with ads.
Now I can hear birds chirping and my grandkids.
Well, I had seen Devil on the Mountain before, and I remember really, really not caring for it. So this is like I think the third time I've seen it, because I think I twice rejected it in the past. And so going back to it again, I think it was a little bit better than I remembered. Just a little bit. Mostly because now I know more of the actors that are in it. Because this movie has a really odd assortment of strange character actors.
Well, I can tell you that I've never seen it before, so this is my first experience with it. And my first experience is kind of like what you said yours was, except I'm not going to watch it again. I'm not going to give it a second chance, or a third chance. That's definite.
I mean, that's what I find value in going back to these movies, though. And seeing if, you know...
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Ooh, porn.
Well, let's start with the plot of this movie. So, in a nutshell, what's this movie about?
There's a couple things going on.
It doesn't just start with Bigfoot killing people. We start more with like a couple different narratives going.
Yeah, I'm going to skip the actual beginning of the film because I think it's best to start with the bank robbers. So we've got this group of bank robbers.
They're really cool.
They're working on this heist.
The film tells you that they're cool through editing techniques. So like you'd think like, oh, this is 4 people walking out of a hotel room. And then, no, the movie's just like... This is 4 badasses getting ready to start a job.
Yeah. So they drive to their location and they get out. They throw on their Bigfoot masks.
They said there's a Bigfoot like festival in this town.
Oh, did they say that?
They did say that. He was like, the cop's like, oh, it's on the other side of town. So there's got to be some kind of Bigfoot culture going on.
Well, I guess that's why they're wearing them. I kind of wondered. I thought that was just a weird coincidence. But they rob the bank. They succeed. They get away.
Well, they kill one of the town cops when they get away.
They do.
So they go
that
from being
happen.
Bank robbers to murderers.
Yeah. Then they try and drive out of town. They crash their vehicle into the vehicle of another passerby. They decide to kidnap the passerby, and then the cops come, and the cops have to like track these thieves down after this big shootout they have.
Yeah, and then the cops call a wizened older hunter, and the hunter comes into the woods too. And then somehow the word gets out around town, and that's when Lance Henriksen, the tow truck driver, decides to also run into the woods. So you get a lot of people dashing into the woods, and it says mountain. I want to address this right away. You might think like this movie takes place on a mountain. I'm not quite so sure. I think there might have been a mountain like
nearby somewhere, maybe.
More of a. I mean, it takes place in Arizona. Like, how do you picture vast mountains of Arizona?
So yeah, he enlists the help because he knows the police. Him and his 2 sheriffs, Chris and
Kenny.
Chris and Ken. Yeah.
Ken
and Chris are pretty much useless. So he was like, I need my old Vietnam buddies here. One of which is Lance Henriksen.
Hey.
Well, Lance is the only one that knows that Bigfoot's out there.
Right, because Bigfoot didn't kill his wife. Bigfoot showed up, and then his wife got hit by a car because she was standing in the middle of the road when somebody was on the radio telling them there was something big coming their way.
This is Chase Jackson. Go ahead.
Did you see this? It's huge. It's
What's coming my way? Come back.
Have you seen it? I don't know what that thing was.
What's coming my way? Get out of the road, honey. What's coming my way back?
Oh my God, that thing was huge.
It sounds like a quick scene, but there's a lot of different layers to this scene that all of them don't make sense. So together, you have to pile them all together, and that's where you start. It's this woman, her car breaks down, and she pulls off to the side of the road and calls her husband, the tow truck driver, to come to her car and fix it. So he shows up, and we're supposed to believe that she's not only in a good mood, but in a fantastic mood.
What's the story here?
Waiting for the tow truck?
Car trouble, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's a pretty girl like you doing out on the road like this at night.
And is filming the entire thing because she's so happy to have been subject to car failure. She's so happy. She's overcome with joy. So she's filming her beloved husband fix her, what was it, water pump?
Yeah, broken water pump or
Her
something.
broken
like that.
water pump.
You got a busted water hose here, my dude.
Oh, busted water hose. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he fixes the car.
I think they probably live together. They could probably just do that at home.
And
But
someone on the CB is just like, what was that? What was that? It's coming right at you. It's coming. My dog went after it.
Holy mother, that thing is huge. It's like the wind, too.
I don't think...
honey, get out of the road. And
Yeah,
she
he's
just
like-
walks around the car and stays in the road the whole
She
time.
goes
Walks to the
right to
opposite
the middle
lane.
of the road.
It is just filming the woods, just empty woods, and then Bigfoot walks by.
Yeah, Bigfoot walks by, she turns, gets hit by a car, just hit straight up by a car. Is lying on the, of course the camera fell so you can see her bleeding mouth face.
Wonderful.
So he comes over and he's like, honey, no. And she's just like, it was wonderful. It was... She's so overcome by the majesty of Bigfoot. Yeah, I guess it looked like it was worth it for her. She was like, it's gonna be okay. I can die now.
Forget about our daughter. She was talking about her daughter at first, and then she was like, but Bigfoot.
Yeah, I can die now. I've seen Bigfoot.
Says some kids broke into her yard, dyed her prize chicken blue.
12 years go by. 12 whole years for everything else to develop. One of our main characters is, is it Kayla?
Aaron.
Aaron. So Aaron's like one of our main characters, and we meet her at a gas station. So she's just like getting gas, and she looks over, and there's like a table with just some junk for sale. Just some junk for sale, and she just goes over and just like picks up some tape. And this woman at the gas station she's never met before.
She's like, oh, you grabbed the special
He
tape.
found it. He
found-
found
yeah,
the special tape.
You found the special tape.
We're closing early today. I'll give you a really good deal. You found the special tape. I'm Raquel.
Oh, hi, Aaron.
She's like, what do you mean special tape? And the lady's like, oh, it's called the Jackson tape, you know? I guess it's Bigfoot footage from around here. And she's like smiling. And she's like, you know, but it's also the footage of when my mom died.
She was like, yeah, it's the last thing my mom saw before she died. So they come to find out, this is Lance Henriksen's and that woman's daughter, and the footage is the footage we were just laughing about a second ago.
First of all, so you're telling me that Lance took that footage and made a tape out of it, and then they've just had this tape that's been circulating in the community. People
and
are
their
talking
family
about
at
it.
least. Yeah, and the community.
And this lady's just going to be like, I want you to have it. I want you to have it. I've never met you before. I have no idea if you have any interest in Bigfoot. It's the tape. I'm giving it to you. I want you to go home and watch my mom die. And she's just like, thank you. I'll take this. And she takes this tape.
It was the last thing my mother ever saw before she was killed.
Oh, God,
It's okay. It only lasts a couple of seconds, and it's kind of hard to see. But there's something.
What is it?
There, someone in a suit, who knows?
Imagine you're like walking into like a, not even a gas station because you can't buy people's belongings at a gas station. But imagine like you're like a, I don't know, flea market or something, big garage sale or something.
You're
and
just browsing.
You're browsing through their movie collection, and you grab something, and you're just like, well, what is this? And they're just like, oh, well, that's the last thing my dad saw before he was killed by a bear. And
Why don't you
just
take
like,
it?
Why don't you know what? No charge.
I mean, we got a real dead body, guys.
We got the sheriff and his deputies, and then what is that other guy's name?
Eli, the hunter.
Eli, yeah. So we get Eli in here, and he's helping him out. He immediately goes off on his own, disappears.
Yeah.
Until about the time that Lance shows back up.
They promise, they're like, oh, get Eli and his dog. Yeah, old man, crusty old sheriff.
They do it again, where they're like, he's like, I'll bring out my hunting dogs, and then he gets out there, and he's like, couldn't get the dogs, they weren't feeling it today.
Where are the dogs? Hell, I had to take them to the vet to get their canines clean. I'm sure they're flying high on some kind of dog dope, but don't you worry. Ain't nothing they can't track that I can't anymore.
Eventually, they do find them and the captive. She's leaving a trail for him, trail of gummy bears.
They were here.
Well, the deputies one of them gets killed. They just all are pointing their guns at each other, yelling at each other, and then Bigfoot attacks, and then they all run together and kind of team up, but not really.
That's right, because Bigfoot throws that guy.
Vin.
He throws Vin. That's right.
And then the robbers end up taking control. They take the guns from the two police guys that are left.
They overpower
and they
them.
go to the cabin, and that's when Lance comes into town, and he comes through the woods. He finds
Vin.
Him down. He finds Vin.
He
right.
finds Vin.
Help me. Sure.
Thanks. And they have some talk. You know, Lance has a shotgun. You know, I don't know. Bigfoot is laced throughout the movie, but he's always kind of like in the corner somewhere where nobody sees him. So most of the time, it's just like these characters kind of pontificating.
Sup? There's a girl in the street in there after all, huh?
You would think that if you were a hostage of bank robbers in the woods being attacked by Bigfoot, that you wouldn't have time to really get into the deep stuff. But no, we're talking about like relationships. We're talking about like that one guy's dad. We talk about him a lot.
Of course, when my brother came back, he was the apple of my daddy's eye. Me, I could have burned the neighbor's house down. He wouldn't even look at me.
We're at this cabin where it's a big like lodge kind of cabin thing.
I think Bigfoot throws some rocks through the window.
Yeah, he does.
Rocks?
Well, they're in there and they're talking about it, and they're like, where's the guy that lives here? And he's like, I don't know, I haven't heard from him. He doesn't come into town much. He just orders stuff. And then he's like, he orders a whole lot of horse feed. Never had a horse, though. Don't know why he needed that. So then they come to discover that the horse feed, you know, is there. There's like a setup for like feeding Bigfoot and everything. So this guy was feeding the Bigfoot, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're in his house.
Yeah, Bigfoot's house.
So we have kind of like a Goldilocks and the Three Bears situation going on, and they're like, we gotta get out of here.
One lousy instant and a couple of feet. That's all that stood in the way of us being rich and comfy.
Drop your waist! Now!
And they're like, why do you think Bigfoot's after us? And they're like, maybe he thinks we're threatening. Why don't we split up into groups
So we'll be less threatening to Bigfoot. That'll get him off our back.
Okay, we got that where we've got like, oh, maybe we're encroaching on his territory. Okay. Then you're like, well, no, we're in his house. He's got a house. And you're like, no, he doesn't have a house.
Yeah, sure.
Bigfoot doesn't maintain a house. That's ridiculous.
Lance comes in while they're there, and he takes control of the situation, and he's now the one in charge with all the guns and everything.
Yeah, there's some power dynamics.
Yeah, and they get out of there, but Kayla refuses to leave because she's afraid. She doesn't want to go back out there where the Bigfoot is, even though they all think that this is his house.
Sheriff Harris has a heart attack in the woods.
I think his name might be Zeph.
Zeph has a heart attack in the woods, and the bad bank robber guy, Travis. He resuscitates old man Sheriff, and then he decides to go back to the cabin for Kayla, and that's when Bigfoot has entered through the back door of his home, and they have like a really unsatisfying shootout.
You take cover. Let me handle
She's my family, you stinking sack of bad cheese!
Only to all then meet back up by the car at the beginning. They're flipped over van. They meet up there because Wade's trying to kill Aaron for the money now. The hostage has the money at this point, and then Bigfoot shows up and mashes Wade. And then everybody shows up back at this location, and then they all shoot Bigfoot. They shoot him to death.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, Bigfoot crawls dying through the grass. He's going, and he's dying, and everyone lowers their guns, and they're kind of sad. And everyone's just look at him die.
At the end of the movie, don't you hear more calls from the woods? So there are more big feet out there.
Either the family or the children. I like to think of it that's Bigfoot's really young kids that are crying.
It does sound like a higher pitched noise that's responding.
It's dying. And they're you don't get to see them again. You just hear them. But are we supposed to feel bad? Are we supposed to be sad when Bigfoot dies? Because he killed.
Movie, I don't know. He killed a lot of people.
He didn't kill Lance's wife. That didn't happen.
That's true.
You can't blame him for that.
That's not his fault.
But he did kill both of the deputies. He killed the dead guy. Remember that guy who said he was dead, and then Bigfoot found him and killed him?
Yeah, the dead guy.
He's I'm dead. Leave me.
His name was William. I totally forgot he existed. He was another member of the heist that got shot during the shootout, and they left him behind right away.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Just go.
So Vin's he's the only one that survives.
Of the bank robbers.
Yeah. And so he gets arrested, and he's like a buddy with the sheriff now, I guess, because they went through this shared experience, and he's just
Well, also he gets arrested for the robbery and potentially murder, but he gives some of the bank robbery money to Aaron, the hostage, who's able to keep it and give it to Priscilla, the town waitress that Vin had lied to about starting a relationship with at the beginning of the film. I guess if he's being nice enough to turn himself in, we'll let him give some of that money to old Priscilla.
Yeah, he gets to ride in the front seat.
Yeah, he gets to ride in the front seat, and not even a cop car. They're going in his truck.
Where he can control the window, so then, you know, how we really know that, like, they're kind of kindred spirits, even though they're robber and cop, is that at the end of the movie...
You do it on your side, I'll do it over here.
Yeah, so he goes first, if I remember right. He just, like, puts his hand out, you know, while you're driving, you let it wave in the wind, and they're both doing it, and that's how the movie ends.
What a note to end on.
Those characters had barely interacted up to that point.
Wow.
So, let's talk about the...
Well, I'm talking about the characters a little bit more, though. Because,
who do you want to talk about?
I want to mention the cast, because I can't remember the names of these people. I'm glad you wrote them down this time. Usually I'm better about that. I do think that there's a lot of interesting character actors in here. You get Lance Henriksen as Chase. You get Rance Howard, my favorite of the Howards, as the sheriff. He's been in stuff for like decades and decades, always like little bit parts. So it's like a little rare to find a movie that stars Rance Howard. You know, it's he's also the sheriff in Ticks. So I'm just happy to hang out with Rance Howard. It doesn't matter to me as much that the script is not good when he's on screen. I should note Vin, the actor that played him, wrote the script. That's Michael Worth.
Got yourself a man?
Oh.
So he is responsible, and I find it fascinating that he wrote the script and cast himself in a major role, because it's one thing to write some bad dialogue and hand it to someone and say like, all right, I need you to do it. I've done that before, but to write it for yourself.
Don't push it. Yeah, please don't push me, sugar pants.
I don't remember who he was talking to, but Lance has a line where he says, "You listen to me, Pumpkinhead."
No, we've already been through this, and frankly, I'm not gonna do it again.
You listen to me, Pumpkinhead. We can start shooting, killing each other right now. It's up to you. It's your choice.
The character of Erin seems like you could really easily just like excise her from the script, and it really wouldn't have changed anything. All she really does the whole time is get angry and yell at the bank robbers and gets into like arguments with them. And it makes them look like not very tough bank robbers, because they're like flirting with her and they're like...
They can't even keep like one hostage quiet.
Yeah, she breaks away from them multiple times, and they're like not... The script doesn't want to make them like too evil, except for Wade maybe.
You look so much better with your mouth shut.
Jesus Christ.
It's another one of those movies where I feel like too many people live at the end. I look at the group that made it out. I'm like, couldn't this group have been a little smaller? Couldn't we have picked off a couple more?
Eli.
If you could take the editing of this film and have it kind of personify it into like something that can move around and like fight. I want to see the editing of this film fight the editing of Sasquatch and the editing of Claude.
There it is. This the fast moving clouds and the like. Here's a tree. Here's some clouds.
I think it must have been incredibly sunny when they were filming, and that everything's like blown out. Somewhere, wherever this was edited, somewhere in that place, there's a dial. Maybe it's a physical dial, maybe it's on a screen somewhere, but there's a dial and somebody twisted it all the way and it just saturated everything. And everything's blue and all of the blacks are completely blown out. So you're walking through the woods and it looks like somebody burned this forest down. And that you're walking through the charred remains of what used to be a beautiful place.
Just don't tell any of my friends, okay?
Alright, well, what are you going to rate Devil on the Mountain, aka Sasquatch Mountain?
I'll say that I think this film held up more than I remembered. It looked a little bit slightly better than I remembered, because I always knew this was one of the worst looking Bigfoot movies, if not the worst looking Bigfoot movie that I've seen. I think the actors lifted it up just a little bit, just enough for me to say this is no longer my least favorite Bigfoot movie. For sure, now I can say that. But I'm going to still give it 1 Bigfoot out of 5.
Yep. I'm going to give it 1 Bigfoot.
You're going to give it a whole foot? I was expecting you to give it like a quarter foot. So I think you liked it more than I thought you would.
Frankly, I don't care what it is.
Are you ready for the Bigfoot breakdown?
Actually, you might need to break it down on your own today.
No. You can't do that again.
Yeah, I gotta get to work.
We made an agreement that Adam would be here for the rest of every episode. It's just, you tell work that you're already at your job.
Alright, so this Bigfoot lives in a house and he eats horse feed. He's awake during the day.
Hold on, we gotta go one by one. We can't just dump it
Well,
all.
I've got work in about 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead
let's
and...
start with appearance. What did Bigfoot look like in this
He was
movie?
big, he had black fur, he looked
How
like
big?
Bigfoot. He was 12 feet tall.
I think it was more like 8.
They said 12. Quote, he is big, end quote. Alright, so I think that's it for the Bigfoot breakdown.
Bigfoot does eat horse feed.
I said that.
I know, but, you gotta give Pat time to put all the little things at the bottom.
He can block radio transmissions. Maybe it was the woods, maybe...
The mountain.
Perhaps. All I'm saying is they couldn't contact back home, like they were getting spotty connection, and then they couldn't get any connection, and then Bigfoot's dead, and all of a sudden they're on the radio again.
Come in, Sheriff. Sheriff?
I don't know that this Bigfoot's necessarily good or bad, but I do think this Bigfoot hates guns. Because he seems to go out of his way to kill anybody holding a weapon.
Alright, that's it for the Bigfoot breakdown. Welcome to Statsquatch. Bigfoot is in this movie for 1 minute and 42 seconds. He kills 6 people in the film, and there are 2 cases of human-on-human violence that result in death. There are more than one Bigfoot in the movie. There's like those screams at the end, so you can interpret however many you think there are. It sounds like maybe 1 or 2 to me, so let's call it 2 or 3 big feet. And then this movie takes place in the state of Arizona. That's it for Statsquatch, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to work.
Our next film also came out in 2006. Adam, we're going to be covering 2006's Abominable, which also has Lance Henriksen in it.
There is something out there.
SasqWatch.
They're all holed up in this cabin. Lance has shown up. People have apologized to Lance, or I should say Chase. People have said, "I'm sorry, Chase. I should have believed you when you said that there was a Bigfoot that your wife saw before she was hit by a car because she was standing in the middle of the road. I'm sorry that I was a jerk to you about that."
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you something. If you ever tell me that you saw the Loch Ness Monster, I'll be right there to back you up.
Then, that night, what do? They put the tape on. They put that tape, they put the Jackson tape on, and they watch it, and Lance is in the other room, and he's just like, "What's that sound?" And he hears his dead wife's voice. And he gets up and goes in the next room, and they're all watching it. And he's just like, "Oh, man, really tough to relive that." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Why are you guys watching this tape? Why are you watching this tape of the lady that got hit by a car? It's not like they battled Bigfoot and there could be some evidence
Yeah, it's not
in
like
here."
you're going to learn anything about how to fight Bigfoot.